Over time, my belief that Bitcoin is the only digital asset that matters has gotten stronger and stronger because I learn more and more about random other cryptocurrencies that people seem to think are going to do very well over time, but they're clearly scams. In this video, I want to go into what exactly I mean by this. Let's get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about is XRP and Ripple. So we can see here, Ripple Labs, the company that operates the XRP digital payment network, holds around 48 billion XRP in escrow. Ripple periodically releases XRP from escrow to maintain price stability and fund its operations. So, in other words, what they're doing here is they're enriching themselves. What they're doing is they're taking coins out of escrow, they're selling them into the market, and they're taking that cash for themselves, or they're using it to run the company. What really makes me rethink whether or not I should own XRP, keep in mind that I owned a little bit of XRP before when I didn't understand this. I did own a little bit of XRP and I sold it, and I don't really care about how it's performed. That doesn't matter to me. What bothers me is the fact that 48% of the supply is held by one company. People will give you so much pushback about how Satoshi Nakamoto owns 1 million Bitcoin, how BlackRock owns Bitcoin, how MicroStrategy owns Bitcoin, but all of those put together don't equal 48% of the supply. In total, there will only ever be 100 billion XRP, but 48 billion of them are held by Ripple. The reason why I think that's so significant is because if one entity holds so much of the supply of a token, they can sell those tokens and they can enrich themselves. They can sell them into the market. They can dump them onto retail investors by taking pictures with the future president, by telling you that these institutions are using XRP. So we can see here, when XRP was launched, 100 billion tokens were created, 80 billion were given to Ripple Labs. Why was Ripple given 80 billion tokens? If this is a decentralized token and Ripple has nothing to do with the network, with the ledger, why did they receive 80% of the supply? If Ripple is supposed to be global money, then why did one company receive 80% of the supply? That makes no sense to me. Okay, so we can see here 20 billion XRP were given to Ripple's co-founders and core team. They received 20 billion, 20% of the total supply for the entire world. And you're fighting for it. They got it for free while you're fighting for it. Bitcoin is different. People try to compare Bitcoin with this. They try to say, "Oh, people received Bitcoin in the early days. They were able to mine and get Bitcoin for cheap or for free." But that was different. You had to put in time, effort, and energy in order to set up your mining rigs, in order to do everything to do with Bitcoin's network, and you had to compete with other people to get that Bitcoin. Anybody in the world could have gotten that Bitcoin. This 20 billion XRP were given to Ripple's co-founders and core team. They were given to them. They were handed to them. So all 100 billion XRP were created up front. 80 billion were given to Ripple, and 20 billion were given to Ripple's co-founders and core team. The entire supply was given to Ripple and Ripple's co-founders. If you can explain your thoughts on that below and give me a reasonable explanation on what exactly is going on, why they received 100% of the supply, please correct me if I'm wrong here. 20 billion, 20% of them were given to Ripple's co-founders and core team. They received $60 billion worth of XRP at today's prices, $60 billion. If you think that Ripple is truly doing this to help you and to create a financial system that's given everybody a fair chance at building wealth, then you're mistaken. I think you're being scammed. I think you are completely misunderstanding what's going on here. This is how the legacy financial system is designed to transfer wealth from the financially incompetent to the financial professionals. That's exactly what's happening here. So what they did is they gave themselves, if they created XRP, they gave themselves 100 billion tokens, and now they're distributing them to everybody else. They're giving them to everybody else. On the other hand, with Bitcoin, anybody can mine Bitcoin. You can mine Bitcoin from home. People are mining Bitcoin blocks from their houses. Individuals are doing this. There was no pre-mine for Bitcoin. This was a pre-mine. 100 billion tokens were created at zero, and now they're being handed out to people at $3, $4, $5 a token in the future. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it seems like they don't want the price to go up. They want to maintain price stability. But if you understand how Bitcoin works, you understand that fiat currencies are losing value. So why would you want the fiat price of your token to remain the same? It doesn't make any sense. If you're using it as a savings tool, you want the price to go up because you know for a fact that more dollars are always chasing your token. That's why I hold Bitcoin. I don't want Bitcoin's price to be stable because I know for a fact that people are selling and buying Bitcoin and they're using freshly created dollars to buy Bitcoin. So the price should be going up forever. If we look at XRP's price chart, we can see that what was said on the Google AI search makes sense because we can see the price move sideways and then it jumps up suddenly. Why does it jump up like this? Why does this happen? And then why does the price go all the way to a new all-time high in 2018 and then it comes back down? And then it goes back up when there's another crypto bull market and then it comes back down. People are putting their hard-earned wealth into this token because they think it's going to 10, 100, $1,000 a token. If XRP goes to $1,000 a coin, do you know how much wealth Ripple and its founders will have? Do you really think they're just going to want to hold on to XRP? You don't think they're going to dump it on the market? Be logical here. Some people tell you that Bitcoin is centralized because Satoshi Nakamoto holds 5% of the supply, because BlackRock owns 2% of the supply, because MicroStrategy holds another 2% of the supply. But in this case with Ripple, one entity, a single company, holds the majority of the supply. That's almost all of it. They started off with 80% of it, and now they've been selling it into the market and they've been giving it to people who have built these expectations for where the price is going to go, so they keep holding on to it. Ripple needs you to hold on to these tokens so they can dump more into the market. They're going to keep feeding you newer and newer stories because if you don't hold on to their token, the price is going to dump and they will no longer be able to monetize your belief that the token that they're creating is worth something. And now let's talk about another token that a lot of people say that you should diversify into. This is Solana. So this is the market cap of Solana. In 2021, the market cap was $75.6 billion in dollars. So $75.6 billion. Today, the market cap is around $130 billion. You would expect that Solana's price, each token, would have doubled in that period because the market cap increased from 75 billion here all the way up to 133 billion here. But let's look at the price and see what's actually going on here. If we take a look at the price here, we can see that in 2021, Solana was around $250, and today, Solana is around $270. Why is it that the price has barely gone up 10%, but the market cap is up almost 100%? If you know what the answer is, pause the video and just comment below, but I'll explain to you what the answer is. The answer here is that there is no maximum supply. So the market cap can keep going up because more and more Solana tokens are being created and added to the economy. They're being dumped on retail investors who think that Solana is going to go up, up, up forever. And your wealth is just being stolen from you. It's exactly the same thing as how the Federal Reserve can create more and more of these and keep diluting the value of previously issued $100 bills. Exactly the same thing. So what's happening here is people are staking their Solana. They're getting paid interest for doing nothing. More Solana is being created. It's being added to the economy. So the market cap is increasing. The market cap is up 90% while the price is only up 10%. I found this chart here that shows you exactly how much Solana there is. So we can see here in 2020, there were only 7.96 million Solana tokens, and it went up steadily to 46 million. And then it jumped from December of 2020 to January of 2021, it jumped from 46.5 million all the way up to 259.8 million. I don't know the details there. I don't know exactly what happened. Maybe it was predetermined. Maybe they knew it already. But over time, what's happening here is more and more tokens can be created. There is no supply limit. You have to remember that. There's no supply limit. Demand will always be fulfilled because more tokens will be created in order to fill that demand. Most people have no idea that these things are happening in the background. And this is why I used to own altcoins and I got rid of them. Every single altcoin has skeletons in the closet that you don't quite understand. Every single person who's promoting altcoins will not be able to tell you what the opportunity costs are of holding that coin. They'll tell you it's faster, it's cheaper, it's stronger, it's whatever it could be. They'll keep telling you this, but they won't be able to tell you what the trade-offs are. And this is where we go to the blockchain trilemma. So this is a article from Coinbase. I'll zoom in a little bit. We can see here the blockchain trilemma refers to the challenge of achieving three critical aspects of blockchain technology. You have security, scalability, and decentralization. So decentralization obviously means there's nobody who has control, nobody can take over the network. Bitcoin is the most decentralized network because there are something like 100,000 computers that run Bitcoin Core all over the world. There are other coins like, let's say, I don't know the exact details of this, keep in mind, but let's say XRP. People have told me that there are 150 validators. So instead of 100,000 people confirming transactions and auditing the network constantly, there are 150 people who are doing this. Apparently, they're large corporations, but the possibility of those 150 corporations colluding and screwing you over is much, much higher than the possibility of 100,000 people scattered all over the world who nobody knows colluding. The 100,000 people running Bitcoin nodes don't know one another, so the chances of them colluding are much, much lower than the 150 validators that are running XRP. Security is also something that Bitcoin has perfected at this point. With how mining works, you need to expend a certain amount of energy to reward yourself with Bitcoin, and everybody on the network is keeping an eye on people who are trying to mine and manipulate the network in any way. So for Bitcoin, security and decentralization are at the top of the list for importance. Scalability is something that the Bitcoin base layer does not focus on because we can build layers on top of the base layer. The base layer has to be secure and it has to be decentralized. You don't want people to be able to steal your money on the base layer. You don't want people to be able to manipulate the base layer. So these two are the most important. So what we know here is that if you don't have security and you don't have decentralization, your entire network is at risk. Your entire blockchain is at risk. If the network doesn't have scalability, it's very difficult to adopt. So what you can do is you can have more people on this layer 2, let's say like Lightning or Liquid. You can have more people using Lightning or Liquid, fewer people using the base layer so that the base layer doesn't get congested. The reason why Bitcoin's base layer is not scalable is because if it becomes scalable and more transactions start going through on the base layer, decentralization is at risk because it costs more and more to run a node. You have to have bigger and bigger hard drives in order to store the Bitcoin blockchain. So what happens is if the Bitcoin network starts scaling up and we have more and more transactions on the base layer, fewer and fewer people can run a node from their home, meaning that we risk decentralization. We risk everything that Bitcoin is built on. One of the main reasons that people buy Bitcoin is because it doesn't change, because it's decentralized. Changing Bitcoin fundamentally will be extremely difficult. I think at this point it's impossible because of the decentralization. So when people tell you their coin is scalable, decentralized, and secure, they're lying to you. They don't know what they're missing out on. BSV or Bitcoin Satoshi's vision is one of those tokens that people will tell you has solved the blockchain trilemma because it's scalable. You can have as many transactions as you want on the base layer. But let's take a look at some of these issues here. With BSV, the size of the blockchain is 11,281,329 gigabytes. So let's take a look at how many terabytes that works out to. 11,281.329 terabytes. You can't run BSV from your house. So what this does is it eliminates every single retail investor from running a BSV node. And I had to Google it. I had to see who can run a BSV node. So we can see here, the Bitcoin white paper clearly defines that a node must create and distribute valid blocks to be deemed such, though other entities may be a node in an overlay network graph. They have no status in respect to enforcing the BSV blockchain protocol. Therefore, BSV node software is only for miners. So from my understanding here, what this means is that miners can change the code. Can miners increase the supply of BSV? Can they make it so that instead of 21 million BSV, there's going to be 42 million or 63 million BSV at some point? Now let's compare this to BTC, which is the real Bitcoin. As I mentioned before, BTC, which is the real Bitcoin, has sacrificed scalability for decentralization and security. anyone in the world can run a Bitcoin node. The Bitcoin network has never been hacked. So now let's take a look at how big the BTC blockchain is. So we can see here the total size of the BTC blockchain is 491.5 gigabytes, in contrast with 11,281,329 gigabytes. Anyone can run a BTC node, a Bitcoin Core node from their house. Anyone in the world can run the Bitcoin protocol as long as they have a hard drive that's about a terabyte. A terabyte hard drive is pretty cheap now. You could probably get one for about $100. So, in conclusion, focus on Bitcoin. It's the only one that's going to be around for the next hundreds of years. It's the only one that you're guaranteed not to have billions of coins dumped on you at some point in the future. And it's the only one that has a supply that will never be changed. In the short term, you may see all of these other cryptocurrencies outperform against Bitcoin, and that's perfectly fine because over the long term, everything trends to zero in terms of Bitcoin.